Okay, it's the power linguist Christophe Clugston coming to you. This is take number 5. Internet connection is bad here in the jungle. It's a winter, as we consider it, winter more or less. We don't really have that term here, but I got to talk to you about something that's very important. How to become a better athlete, how to become a better polyglot or multilingual. Actually, you people like to use polyglot as a term, multilingual is more accurate. Anyway, so the best way to become a great at either endeavor is to know how to avoid being bad in either endeavor. A lot of people say, I want to become this great polyglot. It's like saying, I want to become this great athlete. What do you exactly mean? What do you precisely mean? You have to define your goals. If you don't have a definition for this, you don't have objectives, and you're already not going to create it. It's like saying, I'm going to get on an airplane. Going to where? If you don't know where you're going, the airplane, how can you arrive there? So you have to have a very concrete goal. So let's say you want to learn Romance languages. There's over 20 of them, but you should narrow that down because you're not going to be able to learn 20 of those anyway. But say you're going to learn, let's say you're going to learn Spanish and Italian and Portuguese and Romanian and French, but then you're going to shoot off to, you're going to learn something like Thai and Lao, Shan, and Bru. I'm using some hill tribes languages. You're going to have a conflict there because the time you put into one is not going to benefit the other. So this is like, for example, as a former professional athlete and as a professional trainer around the world in what's called the world's strongest self-defense, I know a thing or two about how to get people to goals and objectives and increase their performances. And since I have credentials as a educator and in languages and in linguistics, I can talk to you from a base of reality with certification, not just some amateur hack talking to you. So if you want to get better at languages, you're going to have to pick which languages you're going to do. You can't say, I want to be this great athlete. What does that mean? You're going to be a power lifter or a rock climber, a bicycle racer, a downhill slalom guy, a triathlete, a open ocean swimmer, etc. Those things won't, a kayaker, those things won't work together. They're actually antithetical. For example, as part of fight training, I used to run quite a bit. I was pretty fast, 2 miles in 10 minutes and 20 seconds. That was not on a track, that was out in the open. Just one of the ideas. Almost get sidetracked saying, well, I want to become this great runner. But trying to become a great runner does not make me a great fighter. And I was running because the objective was to help as an adjunct to helping the fighting. So the same thing, you have to look at the languages. What is helping you become better at the languages? One of the #1 ways that athletes become better is by surrounding themselves with other top-flight, high-level athletes. That means that they're hanging around other professional fighters. They're with good professional fighters. They're with extremely good rock climbers, etc., power lifters, etc. Because if you're hanging around people who don't do those things, it pulls you down. It's the same thing. You got people in the United States saying, I can learn the language living here. And when they're surrounded by monolinguals who want to say to them, why the hell you learn that language? You don't need to know that. Well, right here we're speaking English. Yeah, what's wrong with that? They can learn our language. Damn straight. A lot of people want to get angry because that's actually their accent that I'm using there. Don't blame me. That's not a prestige accent in U.S. English at all. That's pretty damn. I'm fixing to do this. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to do it like that. There's a lot of non-prestige accents, and that's one of them. Yeah, and I'm doing it because it sounds retarded. Anyway, the point being that hanging around people who don't share the same ideas as you do is not going to allow you to excel to your highest level. Also, you cannot train for open ocean water swimming if you live in the damn desert, can you? You're not going to get very far with mountain climbing living in the desert. So you have to put yourself in a position where your environment supports what you're doing. If you're speaking 3 or 4 languages a day, then you can bolster from that. Otherwise, you're going to have to put specific time in. That's going to be very difficult for you. This example of this, for example, people in Europe routinely walk 2 or more than 2 hours a day, just as part of their normal life. Where in the United States, nobody walks like this. They'll spend 30 minutes driving around a Walmart parking lot looking for the close parking spot because I can't be blind. I'm going to get my fat ass out. I'm going to pull out of that. They don't want to do it. So what is considered heavy exercise is normal in Europe, and this is the same thing with the languages. What people consider abnormal, speaking more than one language in the United States, it's considered normal in places Europe. That's not the only place. It's natural. Natural. It's unnatural to be monolingual. Actually, there are more places, and so if it's natural to you to speak 2 to 3 languages, then you can move on from that base and using it every day in functional situations where you have to go in and talk to somebody about your shoes, or you have to go in and talk about anything, mailing a package, looking for spark plugs. How many of you can do that in a you English speakers can do that in any other language? I don't need to do that. God damn it, I don't need to do it. Then you're not functional. You're not living. You can't handle certain things, aspects of life in another culture. You cannot do it. So the point being that you have to look at how much time you're going to have to invest in becoming good. This is the same thing. You know how many thousands of hours I've spent as an athlete putting into fundamentals and basics? And I kept throwing punches after I'd thrown them a million times because you have to keep it up. It's like the people who ran a marathon 15 years ago doesn't mean they can run it now if they haven't put the work in. It's just like speaking Japanese 15 years ago. Can't speak it now, remember words, but you got to put work in. This isn't a 30-day, 60-day plus one challenge for language on this YouTube garbage someone's come up with. No, you have to change your life. It's got to be part of your life. You don't just exercise for 30 days and God damn it, look at me, I'm ripped, I'm buff, look at me, I don't have to do anything, I'm ready for the goddamn Olympics. No, it doesn't happen like that. You have to put in work all the time. And if you're not willing to do that in languages, then you need to give it up right now. Switch over. In fact, go to the gym instead of wasting some time here. If those people trying to put out 30, 40, 50 languages, it's obscenely stupid. You're not going to get anywhere in them. You're going to put in 5 minutes here on you're going to put 5 minutes in on, I don't know, Thai. You're going to put 5 minutes in studying Gaelic. You're going to put 5 minutes in studying Portuguese. This is like saying I'm going to put 10 minutes into rock climbing, 10 minutes into kayaking, 10 minutes into downhill skiing. You're going to end up nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. You got to work on those sports skills that support it, and there's a specific way to do that in sports, and I'm not going to go into that right now in athletic endeavors. There's general, there's macro, meso, and microcycles, and you can do the same thing in languages, and that's part of actually how the volume system developed. But anyway, the point being that you have got to seriously think about what your objectives are. You don't get on a plane if you don't know where it's going, because you're going to end up who knows where, right? You have to if you don't have a clear idea of what your objective is, what does being a polyglot mean to you? I want to be really good. What does that mean? What does that precisely mean? Which languages do you want to speak, and how well? How well do you want to speak them? Because you can't do everything. You can't be in nature, it's evolutionarily impossible to be the fastest animal, the strongest animal, and the animal with the most endurance. That's just 3 different qualities right there. You can't do it in languages either. You have got to be in the right environment to build on that foundation. Like I said, real athletes will hang around other really good athletes because it pushes them to do more, and it makes their base level, their normal level, much higher. Like I'm saying, if you hang around monolinguals, how are you going to get any better? And those people in relationships, and you want to be multilingual, but you're with a girl or a guy, or I don't know, a chimpanzee, that doesn't speak any other language, you have to revert back to your L1 all the time. You're not going to get any better. It's just not going to happen. This is something Mike Campbell and I have talked about sometimes, about this aspect of being in a relationship. I won't be in a relationship without people who are multilingual. But anyway, the point being here is you got to make your environment support your endeavor, and you have to have a clear objective. This +1 thing is an obscenely stupid way to fail. I'm going to add a language for 30 or 60 days. For what? To do what with exactly? That's like saying, I'm going to become a powerlifter for 60 days. Yeah? And then what? Because you're not going to be this great powerlifter. You're going to put in a little bit of work that pulled you away from becoming a better sprinter. Okay? So you've got to decide what your goals are. You have decided, and you have to go forward, and you have to do those things that support it. So this idea that I'm going to speak 20 or 30 different languages is ridiculous when you don't live in an environment where you can speak them. And this is why I've told people that learning Icelandic when you live in Columbus, Ohio, and you don't speak Spanish well, and you're married to someone who speaks Mandarin and Taiwanese, and you don't speak those at an extremely high level, but you want to learn Icelandic? Why is that? because it must be some sort of psychologically fulfilling thing you have, and no other reason. It doesn't fill any pragmatic part of your life, actually. So the point being, how to become a better multilingual speaker, how to become a better athlete, you have got to clearly define your objectives. You've got to have an environment that supports what you do. If you don't have the right environment, you can't become great. Just point blank, you're not going to become great. Okay? It's not going to happen. Living in the desert is not going to make you you're not going to make you an Olympic bobsledder. It's never going to happen. I don't give a hell what anybody else tries to tell you with this other stuff, and the same thing goes with languages. So if you are not around speakers and a large portion that speak the language, you're not going to become good in that language. There's just no way. You can try to artificially put all your time into it, but it's not going to make you better. You need to move. Same thing with sports. So to become better at sports, right environment, right training, right methods, right attitude, sacrificing to become good at them. Okay, now language is the same thing. It doesn't mean getting carried off with somebody saying, "Oh, well, look, gee, now I've looked at croquet. I want to play croquet. I want to play, I don't know, rugby." When your sport is something totally different, like it's ultra marathoning. That's not going to help you. Rugby is not going to help you. It's going to take away from actually what you're trying to do for ultra marathoning. So you have to clearly define your goals, your objectives. Look at what you're doing. Remove the excess waste of time, and then realize that anything you're doing that's not helping your main objective is hurting you. Okay, it is hurting you. Now everybody wants to have this idea that they can become this great thing. Well, I'm not doing it seriously. Then fail on your own, because I don't care. I'm giving out information here from a professional's perspective in both areas, and I know what I'm talking about. So if you choose not to listen, that's on you, and you can fail on your own. But if you want to become successful, heed what I say, and stop this +1 madness garbage. Multilingual times, we're talking about the -1 challenge, and some of you need a -10 challenge on this also. So there's a video about that. Look at the multilingual times video. Anyway, so that's what I have to say. Once again, real name, real photo to post on this. I know Google Plus trying to sneak in on me, people. Same thing there. Real name, real photo, and keeping it real here, because I'm the bad boy of linguistics. So I'll talk to you soon. Take care, man.